Have you ever been amazed by predictions that actually came true? Today, we're uncovering some of the most shocking historical predictions that didn't just sound wild, they really happened. From visions centuries ahead of their time to eerie foresight that changed history, these moments will blow your mind. Before we reveal these incredible predictions, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss our mind-blowing history stories. Throughout history, some visionaries have made predictions that seemed impossible, yet time proved them right. In this list, we'll explore 10 historical predictions that came true in the most surprising ways, leaving people stunned and questioning the power of foresight. Let's get started. 10. Morgan Robertson's Titanic Prophecy. In 1898, 14 years before the Titanic disaster, author Morgan Robertson published a novella called Futility, featuring an unsinkable ship called the Titan that struck an iceberg in the North Atlantic and sank. The similarities were uncanny. Both ships were similar in size, both were described as unsinkable, both lacked sufficient lifeboats, and both collided with icebergs in April. Robertson's fictional ship even sank in almost the exact same location where the real Titanic would meet its fate. 9. H.G. Wells' atomic bomb. In his 1914 novel, The World Set Free, H.G. Wells predicted the development of atomic bombs 30 years before Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Wells described uranium-based weapons that would release continuous explosive energy, devastating entire cities and leaving behind dangerous radioactive material. What makes this prediction especially remarkable is that Wells wrote it when nuclear physics was in its infancy. The concept of nuclear chain reactions wouldn't be theorized until decades later by scientists like Leo Szilard, who acknowledged Wells' influence on his thinking. 8. Mark Twain's Internet. In his 1898 short story, From the London Times in 1904, Mark Twain described a global network called the telectroscope that allowed people to instantly communicate and share information worldwide. Twain's fictional invention connected people across vast distances through a system of phone-like devices that transmitted both sound and visual elements. He predicted people would use this network to exchange news, personal messages, and even find connection with like-minded individuals across the globe, essentially describing social media and video calling over a century before they existed. 7. Jules Verne's moon landing. In his 1865 novel, From the Earth to the Moon, Jules Verne made astonishingly accurate predictions about the future Apollo moon missions over 100 years before they happened. Verne correctly anticipated that America would lead the space race, that 3 astronauts would make the journey, and that the spacecraft would launch from Florida. He even calculated a launch velocity remarkably close to what would actually be required and described the sensation of weightlessness in space. Most impressively, Verne predicted the splashdown return in the Pacific Ocean and described the approximate dimensions and weight of the spacecraft with eerie precision. 6. Robert Boyle's Future Technology List. In the 17th century, chemist Robert Boyle, famous for Boyle's Law, created a remarkably accurate wish list of future technologies. His predictions included the prolongation of life, the art of flying, perpetual light, the ability for a man to remain underwater for extended periods, and making artificial substitutes for human organs. Boyle's list essentially predicted organ transplants, life extension treatments, artificial light, submarines, airplanes, and numerous other technologies that wouldn't exist for centuries. What makes this list extraordinary is that Boyle wrote it during a time when scientific understanding was still developing, yet he envisioned breakthroughs that would define modern life. 5. Nikola Tesla's smartphone. In a 1926 interview with Collier's magazine, inventor Nikola Tesla described a future technology that sounds remarkably like today's smartphones. We shall be able to communicate with one another instantly, irrespective of distance, through instruments that will fit in our vest pockets. Tesla predicted that these pocket-sized devices would enable people to see and hear events happening across the world in real time and access information instantly. He even suggested these devices would fundamentally transform human society and business by making communication instantaneous. What's most impressive is that Tesla made these predictions decades before the invention of transistors, microchips, or cellular networks. 4. John Elfred Watkins' Modern World. In 1900, civil engineer John Elfred Watkins wrote an article for Ladies' Home Journal titled "What May Happen in the Next 100 Years." His predictions were shockingly accurate, including digital color photography, television, ready-made meals, air conditioning, and high-speed trains. Watkins correctly anticipated that fresh fruits and vegetables would be available year-round, that people would live longer, predicting 50 as the average lifespan, and that education would incorporate distance learning. He even predicted wireless technology, stating that people would be able to communicate instantly with others anywhere in the world. 3. Edward Bellamy's credit cards. In his 1888 novel Looking Backward, Edward Bellamy described a system where people would use cards to make purchases without physical currency, essentially predicting credit cards 62 years before they were invented. Bellamy's characters used credit cards that allowed them to spend from their account at various establishments, with their purchases recorded and deducted from their balance. He even anticipated how this cashless system would transform commerce and society. Bellamy's prediction is particularly impressive because it came during an era when all transactions were conducted with physical currency or checks, yet he foresaw the convenience and efficiency of a card-based payment system. 2. Aldous Huxley's Modern Society. When Aldous Huxley published Brave New World in 1932, many of his dystopian predictions seemed far-fetched, but they've proven disturbingly accurate. Huxley predicted a society obsessed with youth and beauty, widespread use of mood-altering drugs, the rise of reproductive technology, and entertainment that would keep populations distracted and complacent. He foresaw a world where people would be constantly bombarded with pleasures and distractions, resulting in a population that is simultaneously more connected and more isolated. 1. Ray Bradbury's audio earbuds. In his 1953 novel Fahrenheit 451, Ray Bradbury described tiny seashells and thimble radios that people would insert into their ears to hear an electronic ocean of sound, of music and talk. This precisely describes modern earbuds and their use with smartphones and digital media decades before their invention. Bradbury not only predicted the technology itself, but also its social impact, how people would use these devices to seal themselves off from others and live in personalized audio environments. He even predicted how this technology might contribute to social isolation and the decline of face-to-face conversation. The level of detail in Bradbury's prediction, from the physical design to the sociological impact, makes it one of history's most accurate technological forecasts. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. Also subscribe to our channel before you go. Thanks for watching.